All right, let's dive in. Today, we're going to talk about a routine that can seriously transform the start of any lesson. It's all about mastering those first 5 minutes, those really crucial first 5 minutes, and the science that makes this strategy so powerful.
I mean, really think about that for a second. That transition from the hallway, into the classroom, it can feel like a black hole where instructional time just disappears. Students are shuffling in, you're trying to take attendance, there's chatter everywhere, and in all that chaos, how much learning just evaporates?
Well, there's actually a name for this. It's called the slow start. And it's this sneaky, silent drain on your time and, more importantly, on your students' focus. It just eats away at the momentum before you've even had a chance to begin.
So let's really dig into this problem of the slow start, because it's a challenge that, let's be honest, every single teacher has to wrestle with every single day.
Just look at the difference here. On the left, you've got the slow start. The teacher is basically a firefighter, just reacting to everything, putting out little fires as all that hallway energy spills into the room. It's just wasted time. But on the right, that's the goal. The teacher is proactive, the entry is calm, and learning starts the second they walk in the door. That's the world we want to live in, right?
So the big question is, how do we get there? Well, the good news is the solution isn't some crazy, complicated system. It's actually a really elegant, two-part routine that tackles the problem from two different but complementary scientific angles.
So here it is. The routine is built on two pillars. First, you've got the greet, which is all about behavioral science. Then you have the do now, which is an immediate task rooted in cognitive science. And together, well, they create a powerful 1-2 punch for a super productive start.
Okay, let's break down part 1, the greeting. This super simple act of just welcoming students at the door. Trust me, it is so much more than just a polite gesture.
The magic behind this comes down to a principle from behavioral science called antecedent manipulation. It sounds complicated, but it's not. All it means is you're doing something before a behavior happens to make the good stuff more likely and the bad stuff less likely. You're getting ahead of the problem. And the greeting, it's a perfect example of this in action.
And the results are kind of shocking, in a good way. Check out the data from one study. Before the greeting, on-task behavior in the first 10 minutes was just 45%. But after they started doing a simple greeting at the door, it shot up to 72%. That is a massive, massive gain in learning time, and it comes just from saying hello.
So how on earth does it work so well? Well, first off, it proactively gives students that positive attention they're looking for, so they don't have to seek it out in disruptive ways. Second, it's a clear signal, a cue that says, hey, you're crossing a threshold. The social world of the hall is over, and now we're in a learning space. And, maybe most importantly, it shows each student, I see you, I value you, I'm glad you're here today. That sense of belonging is huge. Okay, so you set this incredible positive tone at the door. You've nailed the greeting. What's next? You have to immediately channel that positive energy into academic work. And that is where the do now comes in.
The goal here is pure automaticity. It should be a reflex. Students walk in, they sit down, and they start working. No instructions needed. This completely eliminates all that mental energy they'd waste figuring out, okay, what am I supposed to be doing? And instead, it focuses all of their brain power directly on learning.
Now, if you want to create a really high-impact do now, the secret weapon is a concept called interleaving. All this means is that you design the task to mix things up. You're pulling from recent lessons and from older key concepts. A 50-50 split is a great target. This process is an absolute supercharger for long-term memory.
And this is so important. A do now is not just busy work to keep kids quiet. For it to be truly effective, it has to be low stakes, so there's no anxiety. It has to be something students can do completely on their own. And, this is key, there absolutely has to be a quick follow-up to give them feedback and close that learning loop. Of course, knowing the routine is one thing, but making it an unbreakable habit for an entire classroom, that's a whole other ballgame. So let's talk about how you actually make this thing stick.
The key is, you have to treat this routine just like any other academic skill. You have to teach it explicitly. That means you explain why we're doing it, you model exactly what it looks like, you guide the whole class through practicing it again and again, and you have to be ready to hit reset the second the standard starts to slip.
And look, this right here might be the hardest part, but it is absolutely non-negotiable. If 3 students come running in yelling, the whole class goes back out into the hall and you do it again and again if you have to. This isn't about punishment. It's about reinforcing the high standard we all need for a calm, focused, and productive place to learn.
So when you put it all together, you can see how beautifully these two pieces work in perfect harmony. The greeting takes care of the behavioral side of things, it sets the tone, and the do now immediately takes care of the cognitive side. It gets their brains warmed up and retrieving information. It's a complete system for both managing the room and getting it ready for instruction.
So we'll leave you with this thought. Mastering this entry routine isn't really about saving a few minutes here and there. It's about fundamentally changing the conditions for learning from the ground up. It really makes you wonder, what if the most important minute of your lesson is the one before it even begins?